from the Denver Broncos Media Center, welcome to Broncos Country Tonight with Ryan Edwards and Benjamin Allbright.
Welcome to Broncos Country Tonight as we break down the Broncos' loss to the LA Chargers 34-13, Ben. And this was a tough one. The Broncos were shorthanded coming in. The Chargers, I think, playing for a little bit more than what the Broncos were. There was a little bit of a desperation situation for the Broncos if they were going to make a playoff push more than anything. This, to me, in the end, struck as the Chargers are right now playing better football, and the fact the Broncos are really shorthanded.
Broncos are shorthanded, and they're not getting the breaks. You know, at the end of the day, you look over the last couple of weeks, and any time that there was a chance to get a break, you just weren't getting it. And the margins are too. We've talked about the margins being thin with this football team all season. When you're not getting any of the breaks, this is what happens. They had a chance to get it to 20-10 with quite a bit left to go in the fourth quarter, and came away. 2 trips inside the 2 with 3 points in the red zone. And then you give up the inexcusable special teams collapse.
Two special teams collapses.
But I mean, the nail in the coffin was the return. There at the end, if that swings, you don't get that. You get the if-thens abound for this season, and that's the problem. When you play coin flip football, as I've said before, expect coin flip results. And that's at the end of this year, we're 7-9, staring somewhere between 8-9, 7-10 in the face, and that's how it goes. I thought Drew looked pretty good. I thought Melvin looked pretty good. I think Javonte hit the rookie wall. He's looked not great the last couple of weeks. I think the offensive line looked bad. I thought the receivers did an admirable job outside of Kendall Hinton. Needs to get bigger spikes. He kept slipping and falling. Almost led to a Drew Lock interception.
That's right.
But I think overall, I mean, this team has talent. And I've talked to some of the guys, and they believed that this was the year they could have made the jump to the playoffs. And there are some specific gripes they have. There are some things that there are going to be some changes coming. There are changes coming to this staff, and they will be here soon. So, some of those decisions are still up in the air, but a large portion of them are coming for sure.
Right, and we've been saying that on Broncos Country Tonight, the radio show, for quite some time. Even on the TV show, I think we've been saying that the expectation of that, regardless of the finish here, there is going to be some things looked at. And now, officially, when you're out of any kind of playoff contention, that's what's going to happen. Now they're going to be allowed to coach out their final game on Saturday, and then that's basically it. And we'll kind of see what George Paton decides there. But coming back to the game a little bit, you said Drew Lock played well, and I think he did play well. I was getting a lot of people on the Broncos React show asking about, well, Drew Lock is continuing to show that he might be the better of the two quarterbacks right now. And is there any possibility that Drew Lock has a future here with this team? I don't know how the front office would consider looking at him through a different lens in that respect, because it feels as though whatever quarterback decision is going to be made outside of this building.
I don't think the front office has to look at him through a different lens. I think this coaching staff is the one that either didn't believe in Drew Lock or didn't believe in their ability to develop Drew Lock. And I'll leave it at that. And you look at what he's done despite that belief over the last couple of games. So do I think he'll be back next year? Yes, I do. I do think Drew will be back next year. Do I think that he'll have a substantial role? I don't know. I think that if Drew Lock has a future here as more than a backup, it means the Broncos struck out on getting the quarterbacks that they were hoping to get this offseason. It means you're going into camp with a competition either between a rookie or some kind of traveled veteran like a Tyrod Taylor, Andy Dalton type situation. And I don't think that that's inspiring to Broncos fans. It may be with a new coach and a new coordinator, but I don't think personally that that's inspiring. So do I think that Drew Lock will be back next year? Yes, I do. Because he's got the last year of his rookie deal, and you're just not going to find a cheaper backup. Do I think that he has a long-term future here? I think it's tough. I don't think he's done enough. I think that's always been the story with Drew Lock, because he's never just quite done enough and never had enough continuity. And you look, the knock I had on Drew Lock, he was always going to take a long time to develop. But he also gets hurt a lot. And we saw that again in the Chargers game. He's a thin frame, and he gets hurt. And so, I think there are other factors to consider. I do think Drew will be back next year, though. Yeah,
well, and again, I thought,
to make a short story very long.
No. I think you said that right. And that's where a lot of people wonder, like, okay, well, if you would have given, quote unquote, a fair shake or anything, those kinds of conversations. I think what comes back to me on this is Drew Lock played a pretty good game. He didn't turn the ball over, and they only scored 13 points. Now, is that all on him? Is that on the sequencing? There's a lot of things. They still didn't really have much of a run game. The offensive line was struggling with pass pro and in run blocking. So there was a lot of things that sort of broke down. I feel like whatever optimism we had found or identity about the offense that we had found somewhere middle of the season into the beginning of December, that's completely dissipated. And now we're sitting at an offense where you just really don't know what to expect out of them. Even against the Chiefs coming up, Drew Lock go out and throw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns, and I wouldn't be surprised by that. Yet alone, he could come out and throw for 150 yards, and they don't run the ball at all, and that would be just as expected.
Yeah, I think part of that is the offensive coordination. You can't put it all on Drew Lock. They didn't score points. You go back and you look, they couldn't run the ball, and they were in hilariously negative situations. Like, you thought 3rd and 8+ was bad for a Teddy average over the season. Do you know what Drew's 3rd down average to go is? It's more than 10.
Yeah.
So just to give you an idea, that said, he's done the best he could. I'm not sitting here trying to make a case for Drew Lock to be an All-Pro, but I think he's played admirably. I thought he was the guy that should have been going out of camp. I think the last 2 games have kind of indicated that a little bit for the people who laughed at that. But as far as,
but they're still averaging 13 points per game.
But
with
not all
him.
that's on the court. I mean, you got 2 trips inside the 5 in this past game and came away with a field goal.
Sure.
You ran Philly special for Kendall Hinton.
Yeah, but at the same time, we often, and you talked about it all the time, I'm just more pointing this out, is you talked about Teddy Bridgewater and how his tendency in the red zone was they came away with 3 points. He protected 3 points, and that was often the times the biggest criticism against Teddy Bridgewater. Mm-hmm. So You're right in the sense that it's not all on the quarterback, but then we also have to say it's not all on the quarterback when Teddy Bridgewater does the same thing.
A little bit different. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater plays for that. Drew Lock is not getting a run game that'll punch it in. I mean, like, you saw what happened. You had an illegal formation penalty that took a touchdown off the board.
Yeah, that wasn't on him.
That wasn't on Drew.
No. Javonte Williams fumbled it in week 2 at the goal line. That's not on Teddy either. So
yeah, but I mean,
I'm not defending Teddy. I'm just saying
sample sizes here. We got enough of sample size of Teddy Bridgewater that we know what he is.
That's fair. I mean, either way, there's flaws. I'm not sitting here and saying. I'm just saying through the argument of. It generally speaking, we can't use the quarterback as the descriptor of why a red zone does or doesn't work. Then again, you see guys like Aaron Rodgers on Sunday Night Football where I think
the quarterback is the descriptor of why it does or doesn't work.
Right.
And unless you can point to specific other things. In this case, you can point to specific other things. And the haters will say you're making excuses, and that's whatever. But reality is Drew Lock didn't commit that illegal formation penalty. It was either bad coaching or poor execution, however you want to look at it. Drew Lock isn't the one getting stuffed at the goal line twice, Javonte, and then turning around and running Philly special on 3rd down. Why are you running a receiving play to your quarterback after he hurt his shoulder?
Well, yeah, and earlier on that drive, they had him do a quarterback sneak. Yeah,
I know.
I know.
It's just, they call it a deep pass first, a quarterback sneak, and on the same drive after he just come back and just got a shot. So I mean, like, what are you doing? It feels like you got an offensive coordinator that just does not care about that quarterback at all. And that's the way it feels. And I hate the conspiracy stuff. I hate all the people that are saying he's sabotaging it, but sometimes it looks that way.
Couple highlights, high notes from the game. Of course, you lose by 21 points. There's not much, but Noah Fant, I thought
Fant looked good.
Really
he looked
good.
Rejuvenated.
I thought even a couple of the guys, Jonathan Harris, Mike Kaiser filling in. I thought those guys looked pretty good. Jonas Griffith continues to look really good for the Broncos. So they had some guys, sort of standing out in this game. So it's one of those tough things that, again, you lose by that many points. It's easy just to say negative things all the way through. We know there's going to be changes either way, so it's not really worth kind of breaking down what can they improve on. I think more of it is, okay, the guys that are going to be here next year, what do we learn from them, and what kind of role can they fit in next year?
Yeah. That's the thing. You got Ojemudia out there. You got a couple of guys getting snaps. They wanted to get some guys they wanted to get some looks at, so they went ahead and did that. That was good. And I think you're starting to kind of look at what young guys on this team going to be around and what aren't. I thought they should have, if they wanted to win, I thought they should have gone to Melvin a little bit more in that game. Kind of a revenge game for him anyway. But end of the day, I think that getting a look at some of these guys gives you a good idea of kind of bottom of the roster churn and burn as this offseason gets closer and closer.
All right, there you go. Breakdown of the Broncos and Chargers game. For Benjamin Allbright, I'm Ryan Edwards. Thanks for watching Broncos Country Tonight.